hello to everybody who is watching this. I wanted to put out this recording just to introduce everybody to this book, The Four Witnesses by Rod Bennett. So today is our first day of getting started reading this as a group, and I'm really hoping that everyone will enjoy this book as much as I have. I've read this book several times, and I absolutely love it. Every time I read it, I learn more, and I'm just so inspired by these four men who we're going to be reading about. But I wanted to just send out this video to give a brief overview of the book and our plan for the next several months. And so in this book, The Four Witnesses, Rod Bennett is going to take four ancient Christian writers and he's going to present them to us. And what he's going to do is take four men and he's going to use their own words, their own writings. And then he's also going to take things we also know from history, from other documents and sources, to give us deeper insight as to who these men were, and then also more about the environment and the setting of when they wrote and why they might have been writing, and also talking a little bit more about the different struggles the Christians were facing at the time, and using these four men and their writings to give us deeper insight into what the Christians in the 1st and 2nd century believed, their practices, and even more about the lives of the early Christians. And so in this book, we're going to meet four Christian men, and their names are Clement, Ignatius, Justin, and Irenaeus. And these four men are some of the very earliest Christians who wrote letters outside of the New Testament, whose writings we still have preserved today, that we can still find them and read them. One resource, if you're interested in reading more about these men, about their writings, is a website called New Advent. And if you just search online for New Advent and you put in Church Fathers, you'll see this page and you can access all the writings of these four men, plus the writings of many other church fathers. And later on, I'm going to do a video specifically on what it means that when we call someone a church father, who some of these church fathers were. So I'll talk more about the church fathers as a whole at a later time. But you can find writings from these church fathers in various resources. I'm going to mention some books at the end, but definitely New Advent is a great website resource to find the writings of the church fathers, plus Clement, Ignatius, Justin, and Irenaeus. One of the reasons I like this book so much, The Four Witnesses, is because Rod Bennett takes the writings of these four men and he puts them in the context of their time. And so it makes it a little bit easier to kind of read portions of their writing with that context. And so he gives us an idea of who these men were and the struggles that the Christians were facing. And this book is intended to be an introduction to the writings. He does not quote every single thing that these men wrote, so he selects portions of what they wrote, but I think it's really enough to help you begin to see what they believed, what type of things the Christians were practicing and doing, and how the Christians were living during this time. And so it's a great book, I think, just to introduce you to the time period of the 1st and 2nd century. Now, as for our book club, I'm going to do it a little bit different than we've done the previous two books. And a lot of this is just because the layout of this book is a little different than the books we've used before. And so when I looked at the book, there are about 60 pages for each of these four men. And so what we're going to do is read about an average of 15 pages per week. And the plan is that we're going to spend 1 month on each person. So 1 month reading the section on Clement, 1 month reading on Ignatius, 1 month on Justin, and the final month reading the section on Irenaeus. And you can read at your own pace. This will just be my proposal, and this will be what I hope that we all strive to do. But if you get behind, it's not a big deal. As I've done before, I'm going to continue to do videos periodically, but I'm going to set these up a little bit different. I'm definitely going to still do some Facebook Live, but I'm thinking that I'll do the Facebook Live videos every other week, so about every 2 weeks. And then in between, I'll have some pre-recorded videos where I'll talk about specific topics and just post those on the weeks that I'm not doing the Facebook Live. I just think this might be a little easier for everyone to be able to continue to participate. But I'm going to be flexible. We'll see how it goes. This may change as we go along. If any of you find that it's not helpful or have other suggestions, I can definitely change things up. If as we go, you have particular questions or there's things that are confusing, or there's specific topics that you would really like me to cover, send me a private message or post it on our group page. Hey, I'd like you to talk more about this, X, Y, Z. And I can spend some time on some of those things. My plan is just as we go along, there are some specific things that seem to stand out to me as far as things that Rod Bennett mentions. And so that's probably what I'll focus my videos on, are certain topics that I really find important that I want to highlight. But again, I'll be flexible and it can change if needed. Before we get started reading about Clement, which is going to be the beginning of our section that I want you all to start today, is a section on Clement. But before you read the section on Clement, I do encourage you to read the short dedication page and the introduction, because this does contain a lot of good information that will help you as you begin to read the book. So definitely make sure you don't skip that part. But today the plan is that we're going to start the page on Clement today. In this section on Clement, you're going to see that Rod Bennett is going to mention 2 different books. So I wanted to briefly just bring up those books and tell you a little bit more about them. The first book he's going to mention and quote from is a book called Quo Vadis. And this is a fictional book written in the middle of the 20th century. It's a really fun read. I really like this book. I would encourage you to read it at some point in your life. Now it's older, and so you have to kind of get used to the writing style and the language that he uses, but it is worth the patience and the time it may take to kind of get used to the book. And then as you do, I think you're going to fall in love with it. The book is based during the 1st century, at the time when Peter and Paul were in Rome, and it's the beginnings of Christianity. And it's also during the time of the Emperor Nero and the persecutions of Christianity. And so what the book Quo Vadis does is it's fictional, but he does use a lot of accurate historical information and a lot of traditions that have been handed down to also incorporate that in the book. And so it makes it a lot of fun because there's a lot of historical information in addition to some fictional drama that happens. Central to the story is a relationship between a Christian girl and a Roman soldier, but there's so much more than this. You're going to have some really important encounters with Peter and some important encounters with Paul, and it's great. I really can't recommend this book highly enough. And I think that with this book, you really get a portrayal of what Christian life was most likely like during the middle to end of the 1st century. So excellent book. And I know that Rod Bennett also likes this book, and he even, as you'll see, he quotes from it just a little bit in that first chapter on Clement. There's also 2 movies that have been based on this book. So as usual, the book is far better than the movies, but I really like the movies. They're very well done, both of them. One book is an American version that was made in 1951, starring Robert Taylor. And then the second movie is a Polish version made in 2001, and it has English subtitles. So the subtitles, some people I know can get annoyed with those. I didn't find it a problem. It's a great movie as well. Each of these 2 movies have slightly different interpretations of the book, but I love them both. They're a little long, a few hours each, but well worth it. So I would also recommend those movies as well. And then finally, Rod Bennett also refers to another book in this section on Clement. It's a book about the Church Fathers by Mike Aquilina. And so if you want to go into even more depth about the Church Fathers than what we're going to do in this book, Four Witnesses, then this would be a great resource. And so this book by Mike Aquilina on the Church Fathers. And when I was looking it up online, I did notice that I have a little bit older version. There is a newer version that's out there. And so, again, just another recommendation on books on the Church Fathers. But since Mike Aquilina's name was mentioned, I cannot, in this video, before I also mention another book by Mike Aquilina. And so this is called The Mass of the Early Christians. And so again, it has even more quotations from the Church Fathers, in particular in relationship to the Mass, the liturgy, the Eucharist. So a great book to have as a resource. If you want additional information about the Church Fathers, I'm going to give you 3 more recommendations. One would be this book by Jimmy Akin, on the Church Fathers, and it's called The Fathers Know Best. And so he covers a lot of topics and will show you Church Father quotations related to these topics. And then if you want to go even deeper on a more scholarly level, I would recommend the 3-volume series by William Jurgens on the Church Fathers that you see here. Or you could get a 4-volume series called Patrology that also goes into more depth with some of the Church Fathers. So a lot of different book resources that you can consider getting, and I would strongly recommend any of these for those interested. All right, so to conclude this little video today, I just wanted to give you the brief timeline that I'm going to propose for our book. So for the 4 witnesses, what I'm thinking we're going to try to do is, like I said, 1 month per person. So for Clement, the section on Clement, we'll start today, July 27th, and then finish on August 24th. And then on the section on Ignatius, we'll start that August 24th through September 21st. And then the section on Justin Martyr will be September 21st to October 19. And then the section on Irenaeus, October 19 to November 16th. So that's my proposed timeline, and so we'll try to stick to that as best as we can. And then, as I said, every week I'll also include at least 1, if not more, videos here and there on various topics. And intermittently we'll do the Facebook Live videos again. So watch our group page. I will post all of these dates regularly, and I'll post the dates and times for videos so you can be watching for those as well. And again, I encourage everyone to participate, post comments, post questions, just try to get involved if you can. I really would like everyone to try to enjoy this book together as we read along. So, all right, well, let's get started. And as I said, read at your own pace. Don't fret if you get behind. Definitely feel free to watch the videos, participate in the videos, even if you're not keeping up with the books, that's okay. And I just really hope that you'll all find this book fruitful. I hope it'll help you grow in your faith. And then especially, I hope it'll help you grow even deeper in your love for Jesus Christ. All right, well, God bless you, and have fun reading. Thanks.